Our Collision 2017 coverage is proudly powered by Monster Products. Find the headphones and speakers that match your style at PLUGHITZlive.com/monster. All right. Our next guest is here. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
Oh, outstanding.
Go ahead and introduce yourself for us.
Yeah, my name's Jim Light. I'm the VP of Sales and Business Development for an exciting new company called Corterix.
And definitely a new company because you were wearing an alpha badge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, well, we're one of those companies that decided we'd actually build the product, have it tested, sell it to customers before, bringing it out, right? So,
Okay.
So what we do is we took a look at the big data market, and in the past decade, I'm sure everyone knows, there's been a lot of hype, there's been a lot of Hadoop and everything else, and we didn't believe that it's really giving the value to the business user, right? It's not usable. Customers would have to go hire new people. They'd have to train them in new languages. They'd have to have integration efforts. It's a lot of money. And by the way, the results coming back, it's just about nil, right? So I think this is something people know. They seem to keep it under wraps, but that's the reality of it. So we started with a different concept. We started with the concept of if we were able to add all forms of unstructured data and be able to ingest it, take it in, index it, and store it in a SQL database along with structured data, then one, we could meet the dreams of big data, and at the same time we can do something that's very important, right? We are non-disruptive to the enterprise, right? Anybody knows,
which is important,
which is critically important. So everyone should know that SQL is the language of IT. I know there are a lot of people would like other things to be, but that's the reality.
Wishes and hopes aren't going to change the reality.
No, and in every company, the people that know the business, whether it be logistics, whatever it is, they do reporting today. They use reporting tools. They use query tools. They're all SQL-based. They end up in SQL, whether they end up in a spreadsheet on their desk or whether they end up in something like Tableau, right? It's so we made a decision to actually go ahead, and by the way, it's a very difficult to do what I just told you about, right? Because anybody that's familiar with SQL knows you have to build data models for the unstructured data, and then, oh, by the way, that's functionality. Then what happens is you have to be able to optimize queries across those data models.
Yeah.
Okay, then
really hard to figure out indexes when the structure is
and we're
questionable.
We're fully indexed.
Nice.
So on the ingestion, we fully index metadata and the actual data itself. We can store data up to 64 terabytes in a single cell in our database. So we store videos. We can store, absolutely. We store.
I need you to say that again because I think I had something crazy in my ear.
No, we can store in our database 64 terabytes in a single cell. So if you come over to our demo, we're going to show you where there's videos, multiple videos coming out of the database in real time. And we can do like 256 videos, and they're using Google Chrome. There's no intermediary. So it sounds good that I tell you about this functionality, but let's talk about performance. When was the last time you heard a Hadoop or anybody else telling you, oh, by the way, we perform, let me show you the actual, okay.
Yeah, that never happens.
Okay, so we hold the world's record for ingestion into a single database, 134 terabytes an hour consistently, using 6 servers.
What?
6 servers, right? We have the world's records for the largest audited, by the way, these are audited database, right, at 12.1 petabytes, okay? So let me give you an example. Just this is something your viewers will want to sort of get their head around. So we did a major POC for the U.S. government. It was called the Consolidated Audit Trail. There was a lot of wrongdoing back in 2008. There was a lot of financial services. So what they wanted to do...
I was involved in a product that came out of it. I understand.
So what they wanted to do is they want to take in all stock transactions and all option transactions and all intermediate transactions. Because, of course, they're looking for people who send out a buy order in 17 different markets, raise the market, and then cut down 16 of them. You know, okay? So no one had ever done a POC.
Okay.
So we took it on for CFC Corporation, who was one of the down-selected bidders.
Okay.
So the goal was to ingest 6.8 billion wide records, right, an hour. Wait, and parallel query it with 500 streams of queries. Now, I'm going to tell you what our friends over at Google, greatest company in the world, what they did. They were able to do 6.8 billion records an hour. They did.
Okay.
With 300 servers. Oh, by the way, you couldn't query it because Google doesn't query, right? They search.
Yeah.
So you had to move it to a queryable database. Of course, our friends at Google didn't. They decided they didn't want to do that because they don't do that. So
yeah, that's pretty well outside of their wheelhouse, outside of what they're good at.
yeah. So, and plus, the POC or the government wanted the correct answer to come back every time. I know, sticklers. So
The government wanted the correct answer to come back?
No.
That seems like a weird requirement.
no, but it was a real requirement. So
Okay.
we did 6.8 billion records, right, in an hour, and we fired off 500 streams, each stream with 25 queries, not of our choosing. They were samples from the government.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay, so we did that in an hour. The queries came back in an average time of 0.4 seconds. Okay, you ready for the...
Considering that load, that's...
But you got to hear the drum roll. On one server. Yes.
What?
Certified, right? One
How
server.
many terabytes of RAM was in that server?
It was 16 cores,
Okay.
256 gigs of memory. And
I could barely run this show on 256 gigs of memory.
And 7,200 RPM disk drives. So
Disk drives.
yes, no SSD, no flash. So we have a deck of 500 slides
Seems
of
like
all
you
the
were in some sort of a black hole where physics doesn't apply. That's crazy.
They're wizards.
No, I'm known as the Gray Wizard. You're right. So so that's actually my
That's awesome.
So, number one, we talk about real performance. We talk about usable scalability, right?
Yeah.
So you know the dream, everybody says, let's have a data lake, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, it's a data dump, right? God help you when you go to query it. So what we can do is you can build a data lake that's queryable today, right? And you can scale it. We've pushed it up to 60 petabytes, right? And you can have hundreds or thousands of users. You can bring in the data. We just talked to somebody in our booth. They do ETL, and I think they're pretty discouraged because we can take data from any data source. So you can combine IoT, you can put in any documents, you can put in tweets, Facebook, anything you want. You can combine it with SAP records, all in the same database. You can just keep growing it and growing it. And so in a nutshell, we waited, right? So again, I'm getting a hard time. Venture capitalists really don't know what to do when you actually have something that works and is profitable. No, so I had a talk with one this morning, and I told him, no, it's profitable. We're selling it, and we just did a deal with Panasonic. So what they did is they came out with the first high density optical jukebox technology, right? And Facebook uses it. And the problem with archiving today is once you put it on tape or you put it someplace, you don't know what's there.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the end of it.
So we combined our front end, right, Corterix that I've talked about, with the Panasonic back end. We integrated them. And so we take in all the metadata about all the objects that you want to store for long term. Now I'm talking 50 to 100 years of storage, right, on optical media. The speed is 300 gigabytes per second per drive, right? It's an amazing machine. So if you come over, you can actually see the demo. And so the interest is just ridiculous. So it's a total tape replacement. Places like Iron Mountain, you won't need it anymore because and a single rack of optical storage we call it the Intelligent Archive.
Okay.
It takes 1.9 petabytes. It weighs 1,200 pounds, and it generates 150 watts. It takes 150 watts of power. That's it. Forever. The difference between it and any other solution, right? So we have some slides. You can come over and you can see the difference between disk and ours, and it's just so. And you can stack them. So in data centers, you can stack. They're 1,200 pounds a piece. You just stack them. So anyway, it's an exciting technology. It's made for the financial services market, the government market. Finding spooks is just what it was made for. Finding lost funds, in banks, risk, compliance. Now the key thing is it's not complex. You tell us what you want to do. We'll configure configuration for you. We sell you the software. It installs. And Paul, our CTO, hates me to do this, but he actually installs it for Panasonic in 3.5 minutes. I just said 3.5 minutes. So let's say it takes half a day, right? You are then operational, right?
Okay.
When we train people, the only thing we have to train them is how to ingest unstructured data.
Okay.
That's it. Everything else is SQL.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? So anyway, I get excited.
I'm excited.
It's for real.
I might have a company for you. I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's and all the proof points. The key is we address functionality, performance, right?
Right.
Scalability, and cost. By the way, the cost per.
That was going to be my next question.
Since it's paid for, right? Since we did it, the belief is everything that comes in is profit. So, what we're looking at right now is penetration of the market on a grand scale. And so in most cases, you could buy the entire solution for less than you could buy Hadoop nodes, the hardware. And by the way, ours works. So,
Details.
So, again, there's a purpose to this, right? Human beings are going to use more and more data. Machines are going to talk to machines. They're going to have to query large databases that are being updated. We just have the ability to do it today.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. It's something to be very proud of.
You should be.
Thank you.
I do a lot of work with large collections of data. I've got a client that does 1.5 trillion lookups a day.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
So I can totally understand the numbers that you gave are insane.
I can't even get my CTO to get excited unless it's hundreds of billions. Right? Because, again, and this is one of those things I learned when I was, leading a group at EMC. All of the that I've talked about, all of the scaling, all the performance is in there.
Right.
You can start with a little tiny server, and it's in there, right? So you're going to get maximum performance, and you're going to be able to scale easily, and you're not going to have a team to administer it, all of those things. So it doesn't matter. For instance, General Electric, has aircraft engines that come down, and then they have to offload the data. We can sell this on a 1U server, right? You can put it up on the airplane. It can monitor the engines in real time and send only the data back to the engineers that's an anomaly.
Okay.
You can't do that with any other technology.
Just exception reporting.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and the Army's looking at us for field, going out in the field, putting it in a tank.
Ooh.
So, again, the scope is broad.
That's awesome.
And by the way, this is the first podcast that I've done. It's the first actual announcement.
Oh.
Right? So we've been selling it.
We're very special.
No,
fantastic.
she came over today. That was very nice of you. And, and gave us the opportunity. So I say thank you.
Oh, no problem.
And, we really appreciate it. We hope that, the word gets out, right, and people take a look at it. So
if people want more information on the platform or want to contact you to talk about buying, how can they do that?
Well, if you go to our website, we tried to put out a website that included all the information you would possibly need, right?
Okay.
So go to the website. It'll talk about the story. It'll talk about the capability. It talks about the interfaces, all those things that you want to know for real.
Okay. And your website is?
www.corterix, Corterix.com, right?
Fantastic.
And in there, my contact number is on the website,
Okay.
right? Give me a call. We're happy to set up WebExes. We're happy to talk about POCs. We're happy, bring us a tough problem, right?
It's what you're trying to solve.
Yes. Yes. And we're over in A131 today,
Okay.
right? Anybody that's listening that happens to be here at this great show, right? It's a very interesting show.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Right?
I love this show.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. Again, you take it from my hair and my look that I've done this a few times. I'm really impressed, right? Because it's coming
especially for a fourth year. This is only the fourth year
Absolutely.
for the show. And only the second year in this city.
I read that and went, wow, 20,000 people coming, and there's media here, there's venture capitalists here, there's a lot of young people putting together great creative enterprises. Yeah. We feel a little out of place.
Wonderful and bizarre, and all of the things that the startup and maker community generates is all in
right
this building this week.
It's only in 1/4 of the building. No,
Yeah.
I mean, so anybody that I'll be here next year, right?
Excellent.
And I thank you very much for your time, and I hope that some of your the people watching contact us and strike up a conversation.
Well, I have a likely conversation
Perfect.
for you after this.
So thank you.
Thank
Anything
you.
else I can?
I think that's good, and I appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And have a good rest of the show.
Oh, well, we will. Right. Take it easy.
You too.
All right.